What just happened in the NFL has left fans speechless, analysts stunned, and the entire league scrambling to figure out what it all means. Because the Dallas Cowboys, yes, those Cowboys have just pulled off one of the most shocking blockbuster trades in recent NFL memory. Micah Parsons, the heart and soul of the Cowboys defense, the cornerstone of Dan Quinn's entire pass rush scheme, and a generational talent with all-pro accolades and Pro Bowl nods to his name, has officially been traded. That's right. The Cowboys have traded Micah Parsons, and the internet has exploded with reactions from all sides. Disbelief, outrage, excitement, confusion. And we're here to unpack every single angle of this earth-shattering deal. It all started earlier this year when whispers began to circulate from inside the Cowboys organization that all was not well with Parsons in the front office. On the outside, everything seemed solid. Parsons was coming off yet another dominant season, leading the league in pressures, terrorizing quarterbacks week after week, and once again being named one of the top 5 defenders in the NFL by his peers. But behind the scenes, tension was quietly brewing. Contract negotiations had been underway for months, with Parsons' representatives pushing for a long-term extension that would make him not just the highest paid linebacker, but the highest paid defender in NFL history. That's a bold ask, but one could argue it's deserved. After all, Parsons has been the heart of the Cowboys defense since day one, ever since he burst onto the scene as a rookie and immediately redefined the team's identity. The Cowboys defense, which for years was middling at best, suddenly became feared. But Jerry Jones and the front office didn't seem to be on the same page. Reports began to surface that the Cowboys weren't willing to fully guarantee the kind of money Parsons was demanding. There were debates over guaranteed years, injury clauses, and even concerns about Parsons' growing influence within the locker room. Apparently, some within the organization felt that Parsons was becoming too vocal, too dominant a presence. In other words, maybe too powerful. Then came the tipping point. Parsons skipped voluntary workouts, and while that's not always a big deal, for someone as dedicated as Parsons, it was a red flag. The media picked up on it. Speculation began to swirl, and soon the story went nuclear, especially after an anonymous source claimed Parsons had quietly requested a trade if the Cowboys weren't going to meet his contract terms. Fans were in denial. There's no way Dallas trades Micah Parsons, right? That would be like trading away your engine while you're still in the race. But guess what? That's exactly what they did. In a shocking turn of events, the Dallas Cowboys traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers in exchange for 2 first-round draft picks and veteran defensive tackle Kenny Clark. That's right, the Cowboys gave up one of the most disruptive defensive players in the league to a conference rival for picks and a veteran who, while still effective, isn't on Parsons' level in terms of game-changing ability. And what did the Packers do with their shiny new acquisition? They immediately signed Parsons to a record-breaking contract. 4 years, $188 million, with a jaw-dropping $136 million guaranteed. That makes Parsons the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Just think about that for a second. Not a pass rusher, not a linebacker, non-quarterback. That puts him in elite company, and it shows just how badly Green Bay wanted him. Now, the reactions have been pouring in nonstop. Cowboys fans are furious, like social media has been ablaze with hot takes, with fans demanding answers from Jerry Jones and questioning how the team could allow this to happen. Parsons was supposed to be the next DeMarcus Ware, the next long-term face of the defense, and now he's gone. On the flip side, Packers fans are celebrating like they just won the Super Bowl. They believe this move makes them instant contenders, especially with a young, improving offense, and now a defense anchored by one of the most feared defenders in the game. But this trade isn't just about X's and O's. It's about culture, leadership, and long-term vision. For the Cowboys, this move suggests a major philosophical shift. They've clearly decided to pivot toward the future, accumulating draft capital, clearing cap space, and perhaps trying to rebuild the roster around younger, cheaper talent. Maybe they felt they couldn't afford to pay Parsons while still retaining guys like CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Maybe they saw this as a Herschel Walker-style opportunity, trade one star for a boatload of assets and reshape the roster. But here's the thing. That only works if you hit on those picks. If Dallas whiffs on those first rounders, this trade becomes a disaster. Because you can't just replace a guy like Micah Parsons. His speed, his motor, his instincts, those don't grow on trees. And even more importantly, his leadership was infectious. Teammates rallied around him. He was the spark. Losing that will hurt far more than any stat sheet can show. Meanwhile, the Packers are sending a message. We're all in. After years of cautious, draft-heavy development, they're finally swinging for the fences, with their young quarterback showing promise and a defense that already had rising stars. Adding Parsons could push them over the edge, like the NFC North just became a war zone. Offenses will have to account for Parsons on every snap. And that opens up possibilities for the entire defensive unit. Green Bay is betting big, not just on Parsons staying healthy, but on him being the same disruptive force in a new scheme. And don't forget, they gave up serious capital. 2 future firsts and a foundational player in Kenny Clark. That's not a small investment, but if it pays off, it could be the kind of trade people look back on and say, that's when the Packers took the leap. As for Parsons himself, he's got to be feeling vindicated. He bet on himself, refused to settle for a lesser deal, and now he's getting paid and playing for a team that believes in him. The first press conference said it all. Parsons was emotional but focused. He said he's got something to prove, and that's a scary thought. For opposing offenses, you already had a motivated Parsons. Now you have a Parsons with a chip on his shoulder. That's nightmare fuel. The real test will come when the Cowboys and Packers face off later this season. That game is now circled in bold on every calendar. You can bet the entire NFL will be watching, because if Parsons dominates against his former team, that's going to sting in Dallas for a long time. But let's also look at the locker room dynamics in Dallas. Losing a leader like Parsons shakes things up. Can DeMarcus Lawrence step up even more? Can the young guys rally together and form a new identity? Or will this trade fracture the unity of the defense? Those are serious questions, and they don't have easy answers. Meanwhile, the coaching staff will be under pressure. Every mistake will be magnified. Every sack they don't get will be seen as the sack Parsons would have had. That's a brutal environment to coach in. But that's what happens when you trade your best player. And for Jerry Jones, the stakes are sky high. This is a legacy-defining move. If the Cowboys flounder while Parsons thrives in Green Bay, his name will be attached to this decision forever. Fans already question his GM decisions, and this one could be the tipping point. On the other hand, if Dallas uses those picks wisely, builds a new contender, and perhaps even makes a deep playoff run without Parsons, then maybe this gamble pays off. But make no mistake, it's a gamble, a massive one. The NFL world will be watching every snap, every play, every quote, and every result from this day forward with that trade in mind. And that's why this isn't just a trade. It's a story. It's drama. It's the kind of move that defines careers, rewrites narratives, and lives forever in highlight reels and documentaries. So buckle up, because the 2025 NFL season just got a whole lot more interesting. Whether you're rooting for Dallas, cheering for Green Bay, or just love the madness that is the National Football League, this is why we watch, for the twists, the risks, the bold moves. And this right here is as bold as it gets.